Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing great. Now, in the part one of our podcast series with Abhijit Sanzgiri, we understood that it takes a lot for all of us to go with the flow, and that when you understand, life becomes very simple and easy. So we also got to know more about his life, his challenges, how he overcame them, what was his mindset, and how did he grow in every field that he chose, or rather, the field chose him. That's what it says. In part two, I would encourage all of you to watch it until the end, where he comes up with a phrase for risk itself, because he deals with risk in and out every single day. We also learn more about how he encourages students and people working for him, at various stages in life and various points wherein they need to make certain decisions on their own, and how he inspires them to be the best that they can be. Come on, let's deep dive. Abhijit, so now let's move a little further to certain skills. We also spoke of technical skills, and we also spoke of soft skills, which are now, at least now, there's a lot of awareness that's being created. So, what according to you is the most sought after skills in 2021 for somebody who wants to get employed? I mean, you've seen a lot of people. You talk to students as well.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're looking at students,
yes,
I think the biggest skill which somebody would look into a student is his commitment. Again, there's something which you may not judge at the first instance. It's always, because when I had to select a team, I always look for commitment, because people who are fresh, they really don't have that experience of having worked before. And you could always give them the training and the experience with your mentorship. The only thing you need is a dedicated student in the employee who's willing to learn, who's willing to put in the extra hours whenever needed. As you say, in a fast bowler, you bend your back so that you deliver the ball with a greater speed. So somebody who is willing to put in the longer hours, who has the ability to stay curious at all times, ask questions, be truthful, honest, be disciplined and dedicated. So that would be the basic skills one would need, because obviously you would train somebody. The basic education and the theoretical knowledge in that subject will always be there. And if you can have the art to interpret something, I think Google will give you a lot of data and information, and even some part of knowledge also. It's how you practically apply that is what will develop along the way. And that could come from basically working with a good team which reinforces each other, and maybe having a good senior who would guide you along the path. So as if the student is there, the teacher appears, it's you are there. So you just need somebody who's a good student who would basically do it. So that's as far as the person who's employing you is concerned. That's what he should look at.
Right.
As far as somebody who is just applying for the job, I think he needs to stay curious at all times. I think somewhere I feel people do check you out in social media. So there are a lot of people, as especially I see on LinkedIn, where I would just throwing their biodata around that I'm open for work, or I need a job. But I think more than a job, I think why should somebody employ you over somebody else? So So each one, I personally believe, has to be a good communicator and has to have his personal branding right. So that day there was somebody I'll just give an example. Somebody with about 1.5 years of sales experience and who was basically looking for a job, and it just written ki I am so and so with so and so years of experience and I'm looking out for a job or something. So I said, why are you putting that you're looking for a job and this is what is your experience? Just say that you have 1.5 years of skills in a corporate in helping them enhance or improve their turnover or profitability from X to Y. And that's the skill you have, the skill to sell something. And that's an invaluable skill. Everybody needs to sell his product, and that's where you fit in. And if you state that skill, I think why should somebody not select you? I think the selector on the other side is not a fool not to recognize that skill in somebody. The point is, if you are not aware of your own strength, you are basically, as I said in some article, is if you are a Hanuman who never knew his own strength. Because only when he is pushed, he knew that he could actually lift even a mountain or cross across the sea in just one leap. So it's yourself not aware of your own strengths. And if you are not, you will not play to your strength. So as I said again, that small, I would say, instead of putting a threat, the limitation. So I think one should be aware and project his strengths, that this is a professional with experience in these skills, which can come handy in an organization where I could do this to the benefit. And when there is a right fit, I think people would easily select. So it's not just, it's I think much beyond making a good CV. A CV will always remain in paper. I think it's you recognize that you have a skill. And I was just saying to somebody is, I post a lot on social media, especially on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually no content writer. I've always said that by practice, I think you become more perfect, or you become much better in what you do, because it's just repetition, which is the mother of all skills. So you put in an X number of hours and you will keep on learning from your own mistakes and be better and better. But the point was that when I post something much crisp and concise. But that was all because of my skills, which I've developed through years of auditing and reporting, where at the end you used to prepare a much bulky report which may be running into hundreds of pages, but at the end you make a very concise executive summary. Or you have something where maybe the top independent director would just need to, okay, what are the top 3 threads, tell me. So in just 2 minutes, it's what now you've comfortably said that that's an elevator pitch, but that's for marketing. But in 2 minutes, you just have to explain what are the risks facing a corporate, or what are your key audit findings, or now officially we say what is the key audit matter. Okay. So when you always learn to make something crisp and concise, which is the crux of the matter. So without spending somebody's time too much, go to the direct root cause and come straight to the point. It's that skill which I've learned is what makes me become very crisp and concise in my thoughts and putting it out on paper. So these are skills which you learn. I think at a lot of times you are not even aware of what skills you possess. So my basic advice to any student or a young professional is be aware of your skills. So maybe I think a skill finder test could be done to find out what your skills are. Get that maybe cross-check from a lot of your peers, either your friends, colleagues, seniors, juniors, to just get a plethora of diverse feedback on what really skills they see you have. And then maybe some HR guys at a more K level is whether these skills are readily marketable or these are really employable skills. Once you have that, I think that's what you showcase. I think the showcasing should all be for skills. It should not be for this is my degrees I have, or this is the certificates I've got, and number of certificates. It's what is your skill, and with the skill which you have you benefited somebody all along, and going ahead, how would you still benefit anybody down the line? I think that's what, and if you show that yes, I would maybe with these skills help anybody on maybe whatever 2x, 3x, 4x times the amount which is being paid to me, I think then that's where the HR guy, as I say, why should he lose you to a competition?
That's a wonderful way of putting it across. Yes, that's true.
If I see a, why should I lose you out? I would prefer somebody who's good, who can work from day one, and who's skillful and who's aware of his skills.
True.
Who's aware of his strengths. If somebody is aware of his skills and his strengths, he'll play up to
point.
If that strength is fitting with what you need, then he's a real good fit. So he himself is making out that good fit.
Absolutely.
So yesterday there was some person who was talking about a video resume.
That's the new thing now.
So it's not interview over Zoom, but it's you only make your resume and send it. So
yes.
he was all the tricks of the trade and how to make a video resume. But yes, that's the future. So
yes.
One is you got to be technologically savvy, and you got to be good at communication, and the other skills of I think knowing how to market yourself, present yourself, being a good persuasion guy, a negotiator. I think these are all skills. So maybe the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, decision making, self-awareness. I think a lot of what these guys or the image consulting guys tell you, the ABCs, the appearance, the behavior, and the communication. So that's I think a lot of skills are needed, but the most is what fits in technically at the lower level with what they are looking for, and you could showcase. And then as you are in with a job, I think some amount should obviously be invested in learning the soft skills.
Absolutely.
Maybe a 5, they say is like an investment. They say something should be spent on education. I think you're perfectly right. I think you should continuously keep on learning, especially maybe I believe till the age, a particular age. I think till maybe the 20s, I think you should always keep on learning, or maybe till the time you're married, at least whatever it is, whatever you can add as certifications to your profile, which would really help you in the longer run, something which you should do, which are slightly of a longer duration. Then maybe the ongoing certifications and it would always keep you upskill.
Absolutely, and that should be a complete, a continuous cycle is what I feel, because you never stop learning, and we shouldn't. Now, I'm really intrigued by the various things that you've done, especially about the books, because that kind of interests me. Being an author myself, I kind of feel that, books are a spiritual way of letting ourselves loose, speaking our soul out. So that's how I view it. It's a process that way. I would really love to know more about the books that you've written.
So maybe at 2019 end, if I was to ideally put my 2 aspirational goals, one among them, not professionally, one apart from professionally, one was to be an author, and one was to be a global speaker and a TEDx speaker. So somehow, yes, because of the speaking bug, I always wanted to be an author and maybe on the TEDx stage and maybe on the global stage. So as far as the authorship is concerned, yes, we've co-authored 2 books. Somebody has written a book on articles which I had blocked. So 100 of the best articles he chose, and he edited a book for me. And there's one book on risk management which I wrote. And I'd actually studied a lot of people who were giving tips on how to write a book themselves, or how to help somebody write a book. And yes, so based on whatever their structure is, but purely when I do something or I tell something, it's based on my own experiences and something which has worked for me. And again, being a risk guy, I know very clearly what can go wrong. So when I say something, I would know all 10 reasons where it could go wrong and what one should do. So that's where the risk management skill comes in handy when you're guiding somebody, and the legal background, that yes, if there is something to fall back on or it's your hit, what would be your last worst case scenario. So that helps, and actually I can not that I have written many books, but for whatever I've written, my entire book and maybe the 2-3 books I've written, I can just guide anybody to write a book on any subject their subject matter expertise. And I'm very sure that I could do this for anybody, and anybody can write a book. Maybe it will not be a bestseller, but yes, it's his own unique thoughts which will come out on paper. And then that's it. I think nobody wants to be Sidney Sheldon or wants to be a Deepak Chopra or something. But yes, the satisfaction that yes, you can also write, I think that's immense. So that was one. The second was to be a global speaker and a TEDx speaker. So though I have not been on the TEDx stage, I have interacted with various people who've spoken on the TEDx stage and seen their content or listen to their talks. And I really don't know. Now it doesn't look like an aspirational target to me somehow. So I somehow feel maybe I never, as I was also a Hanuman at that stage, maybe 2019. But yes, I feel that if I've reached the shore, and if it comes, I can easily cross it. So it's just availing that opportunity and maybe just speaking on the stage when it comes to it. As far as the global stage is concerned, I think pandemic made everybody a global speaker. So you were speaking all across. I don't even know with whom I would have spoken to or with which forums or with which people. But yes, I've interacted with a lot of people from South Africa, from Europe, from US, from the Gulf countries, as well as with Australia and Singapore. So it's that again is finally you're speaking what you know and you're speaking your heart out. So again, that notion that yes, global speaking is something which you just not your cup of tea or something which is you just can't do. Now I think thanks to the pandemic, that was one bucket list item which has been ticked off. So yes, so these were the things which I felt I should do, and maybe I take them off. And if anybody needs help anytime on how to be a better speaker or how to be an author or how to brand oneself, I think I've spoken on these subjects much more during the last 2 years than I would have ever spoken. I've spoken on the last 2 years on what I say is the subjects that I handle care with care. So I handle compliance, audit, risk and ethics, which is my core subjects. So I take care of care with care. That's what was my tagline. So the compliance, audit, risk and ethics is something, yes, I'll never forget that because it's just embedded from the last 25 years on what I do. But yes, I've spoken more on these other subjects, especially on how to use LinkedIn more effectively, on how for professionals brand themselves as thought leaders, and maybe how to even write what you call a book or author a novel, and maybe some book reading sessions which I never thought I could ever do. So
fantastic.
Yes, some books.
That's great to know.
So I had been a part of a book course in itself. It's a full-fledged course on Think and Grow Rich by one professional. So I would have attended at least 20-25 sessions on just one book. So So you can go deep into just one book and have 25 sessions and make sense of each of the 1.5 hour session.
Wow.
Is one post that you could take any book and deep dive into it. So
absolutely.
That's what one
absolutely
needs.
Yes, and it's a part of the person himself or herself that they're putting it into pages. That's how I see it. It's great. It's great to know. That's the book. The book is named Revive and Thrive, right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We will also give link to the book later on.
So that's a co-authored book. That was something from which was bought out by members of our speakers tribe.
Okay.
So this was at the height of the pandemic, somewhere in May 2020.
Okay.
And 40 of us, we decided to write stories on hope, enthusiasm, optimism, faith, belief.
Fantastic. That's great.
It was quite an experience in getting people to contribute and then edit and just bring it at those age. I think some great learnings, just some great learnings about human nature, I think.
Absolutely. I look forward to read that.
And the book on risk management is something which I've written. I'll just share that.
Please do. I'll take the link. And what stands out in your profile right now is the interesting fact that you're a trustee at the Cricket Foundation, and that's something so interesting and intriguing in itself. Could you please elaborate?
So, Cricketers Foundation is a trust which we are 5 trustees.
Mm-hmm.
It's the brainchild of Dr. Makarand Waingankar, who was a journalist for the major part of his career. He still is. And his vision was to help people who have been associated with the game of cricket primarily and who have not been a part of the fortunes which the game has been privy to in the last few years. So we help and support by one-time financial assistance to a lot of groundsmen who actually prepare the grounds. There are umpires, there are scorers, there are statisticians, and there are players also, or there are women players also who played at the first class level who are unfortunately not part of the BCCI or maybe the local body associations benefit. So people in their 70s or 80s who are financially challenged.
Mm-hmm.
So one is we respect and recognize their services to the game, because it's not just people who play. These are people on the sides who have made the sport as rich and as great as that sport is. And it's practically I think they say that it's only cricket and wars which would bind the entire huge nation together. So it's our part of it. And when the core team wanted me to join, I quickly said yes, and I've been helping them with the financial management and the legal part of it, plus putting things together. So that's something which I'm being very fortunate to be in a position where we could be of help, and that's what we are doing. So we formed this in June 2019.
Okay.
We got all our registrations in place by March 20. And in the last 1 year, we've helped quite a few people, maybe more than 50 people.
Wow.
With one-time financial assistance. But it's not the financial assistance, it's the fact that they are being recognized and respected for the service which they have done to the sport. I think it's what also appeals to these people. There's somebody who's remembering them, even when their working days are well past due, is what I think gives those people also more satisfaction than the monetary assistance.
Absolutely. More often than not, it's the intangible things, the kindness and going beyond that matter most than matter more than the tangible benefits that they receive otherwise. I also understand that you're into blog writing. You mentioned that earlier as well, and there's somebody who's compiled that for you as a book.
Yeah.
And you're also into philanthropic work. Is Cricket Foundation one of it? And do we have any
Cricket Foundation is the main foundation of it. But anywhere, I've been a part of a lot of mentoring associations where whenever they call me to mentor somebody, I have always done that. At a lot of places where I've spoken and shared my experience, it's completely pro bono. One is, as a chartered accountant, by our code of ethics, we can't advertise what we do, nor can we advertising for marketing our services, what we do or what we are specialized at. And whenever we go and speak somewhere, if you're in a full-time practice, then it's only you can do it for an honorary. So wherever I've spoken, many organizations where I've spoken and shared my experiences, it's completely pro bono. So that's a small way of sharing my experiences if it's helping somebody. And if somebody asks me at any point of time for any brainstorming or any guidance on something, it's which I've never always said no to anybody, because at some point of time I was also a beginner in need of help. Maybe I could have done much better with me having a strong mentor or a coach much earlier in my life. But yes, if I'm in a position to help somebody, why not? So I'm always open. I think the point is, as I said, selfless mentor is there, do you have a dedicated mentee? So if the dedicated mentee comes in, the selfless mentor will always be there.
Yeah, two things. One is that you already mentioned.
Tango, yes, it takes two to tango.
No. Yes, that's true. The two things that stand out from what you've told now. One is I remember what you said earlier, which is when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and this is the right thing. I mean, when the mentee is ready and dedicated, and if the mentee shows commitment, then the teacher definitely appears. The mentor will always be there.
So yes.
And in a way, this is your way of giving back to the society, paying it forward, and that's fantastic. That's a warm, big heart that you have.
But I think you have always been benefited by giving. I think you get a lot of good wishes, you get a lot of respect, recognition, and it's not that what you're doing for primarily, but these are the byproducts of what's the benefits you get, and you always get new perspectives. So when I've mentored people, I've always got a lot of ideas on various things. So when it's especially the youngsters, they have a unique style of working or a different way of thinking or going about things. So it's not just mentoring, it's also reverse mentoring, which is benefiting you. So yes, it's you benefit always. So I always say that it's the value. When they say it should add value. So value is something which you get. Value is always there in everything. So maybe even if it's you're listening to somebody and somebody would make a comment that he's a bad speaker and he just doesn't know what to speak, I think that's also a lesson that's what you should not do. So everywhere that's a lesson in your do's and don'ts also. So every time something is happening, it's teaching you in some way or the other. You're learning
with that.
Everywhere, anywhere.
Yes, I completely concur with that. That's a wonderful line of thought. There are not many things now that you've spoken so much and given us so much value that I am pleasantly pleased that I really took this up, because the value add for myself is immense, and I'm telling that from the deep of my heart. So one thing that I would like to ask you is there any advice that you would like to give to people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs?
See, entrepreneur is a different ball game now. When I look at it at the point when I did it at the start of my career, in the mid phases of my career, yes, I was an entrepreneur, but we were a big team of individuals, or we started slowly, so it was not a single proprietor. So you will have various phases of entrepreneurship. So one is when you start off as a solopreneur, where you are the only one, where you need to have a lot of skills. But you would actually, I would say, you would be specialized in just one skill. So maybe it may be a technical skill, or maybe you may be a great marketing guy, or you could have a great ability to raise money, so you would be a financial guy. But your strength will definitely be somewhere. So that should be the core point on either getting people with competing differential skill sets than you, which you could then as a team collaborate to co-create something which would be a win-win for all, or maybe outsource that function. So it's not that you do and end up doing all the things, because you can't do everything and anything all the time. You could be strong at one, let that be your strength, and that's where you focus. And let all other things either come in the form of partnership with like-minded individuals. I think it's very strong to be partnered with like-minded individuals, because I've seen a lot of organizations a couple of years just breaking up because that the partners couldn't see eye to eye with each other. So the like-mindedness and the rapport which you share with your partner should be key. Otherwise, going for outsourcing, but don't do everything yourself. Now, despite knowing your product very well and having a great idea, I think finally it should sell, and it should earn money. Now, does it perform somebody's need, or just because the entire world is doing it? Yes, you find this is something. So a lot of people during the pandemic is, yes, there is a lot of money in making the masks or making the gloves or something, but is it your line? Do you know anything of the nuances of the line, that or just because something is there, you're just going into it? So put it to some stress test or a test of reason, maybe brainstorm. People will always have negatives, but I always prefer people who are negative, because that is the sounding board for you. If you can handle these negative guys, then you can handle anything. But these are the worst possible case scenarios which they have given. So that's the ultimate stress test which you could have taken for your business, and you're willing and prepared to handle that, then go ahead and just have the backup funds. I think that's also the key, is you should have enough liquidity and know your break-even point of business very well, and you should have some months cash surplus ready, or some lines of credit ready to meet that. Otherwise, you could just be maybe a couple of months away, and just because of lack of finances, you may have to scuttle that project. And always maybe be conservative and do your best. I think backing your abilities is the best thing. And I think for a businessman, he always at the start has to stay humble and grounded. I think he just can't be egoistic and arrogant, and the attitude matters, the attitude to help serve. And I think if you're willing to do and take any setbacks with a smile, I think the mental toughness also matters. So a lot of skills. I think an entrepreneur needs a lot of skills. It's just much more than an idea which is coming in his mind. That idea should see, I think, from his heart or A to the wallet of the customer. The customer should be ready to take out his wallet and actually pay. So how does he do that? So is it addressing some really pressing need which somebody is really wanting at this moment? If it's a necessity or a luxury which can be just done away with, which is really a discretionary spending, then unless it still satisfies some need, even in a luxury, because even in a pandemic situation, one would need some occasional luxury to come out of it. So that's not a luxury, that's a need. How you actually fit in and resonate, I think that's what is the key. And it's what I say, it's not the survival of the fittest. I think it's a case where it's the survival now of the fitter among the fittest. Even within, you'll have one layer of churning of the fitters. So that's where I think you got to be very, very competitive, and I think some different skills. I think you got to be fast. As I said, it's the flexibility, agility, the speed, and the timing. So it's another acronym which you need to use fast. And you really flexible, adaptable, speedy, and on time. Those skills are actually needed for an entrepreneur.
Wow. Okay. There were certain key takeaways for me, basically from that last part. Yes. So coming to the last part, what drives you to do all that you do? You do so much more than what one person can generally, and that's good for that.
So the only thing I can say is I just don't overthink. I just go with the flow. So if you just maybe I was asked to do this interview, I just said yes. So it's good that you also didn't send me any questions before, so it would have made me think. So it's just a conversation which happens, and this has been a part of what I have done. So it's nothing, it's coming more authentically, it's coming more naturally. Is because yes, I don't need to think, and when you start thinking, is where you actually falter. So that's where I always say that a 12-minute or an 18-minute TED-like talk is much difficult to give, because you need to be actually precise, and you need to measure each and every word. Whereas if you want to speak for an hour or more, I think if you have experience in that line, you can just talk about your experiences. So that's where so I think just don't think. It's not that you don't think, also don't overthink.
Yes, got it.
Just go with the flow. That was what I had also in the book Revive and Thrive. I've just that the theme was also just going with the flow.
Mm-hmm. So the last one that I have for you is any words of motivation for all our viewers. Anything that we can take away from?
So the only motivation is basically I would not say that something should keep anybody motivated, because it's all on self. Because as somebody has said, a motivational quote is that the motivation rubs off the moment you leave the room. So it's you need to. That's why I get doses of that every day. So it's when you go back in your own environment and your own challenges, what are the all classroom learnings is just easily forgotten. So that's where I always say that you need three things for your success. And one is you need a good coach or a mentor. I think that goes without saying. You need a good coach or a mentor to fast track your success. You need a mastermind. So there's a lot of masterminds who are there. So our Speakers Tribe was a great mastermind. The Professional Speakers Association of India is a great mastermind of people who want to cumulatively and collectively and collaboratively help each other be great communicators. So that's a mastermind which has very focused thoughts on what to go ahead. So each one challenges, drives and pulls each other to a common focus. And then you need an accountability partner. And that accountability partner has to be somebody external. You can't be your own accountability partner. Somebody who should be there will pull you up for not doing certain things, extremely like what you've set a ritual, or it becomes till it becomes an habit. I think you need these three things to just do well. I think they are now non-negotiable. So everybody needs one of these, and that's the key I would say to everybody. And the other thing is, apart from going with the flow, I think every risk can be de-risked. So that's
yes.
what I say. Everything is a risk, and everything can be de-risked. So just what I say is have a positive mental attitude, back your abilities, and then just I think be happy and just enjoy the process. So somebody asked me what would be your word in 2021. So I said I think happiness is because finally what you do is to be happy and satisfied.
So, very true.
So there again, somebody had told me that satisfaction is more important than happiness. So I've chosen satisfaction. I said finally happiness leads to satisfaction. So happiness is the first goal. You can't jump to the satisfactory goal once unless you have happiness first, even if it's momentary. So have moments of happiness throughout on a longer duration to be completely satisfied and contented. I think the pandemic has given a great lesson that you can stay and do with less. So minimalism, as a lot of people have advocated, I think that's a good sign. And yes, it's made people more accessible to each other. So you can just talk to anybody and just get a lot of insights or their experiences or stories, whatever they have to say. So yes, that's it. Anybody needs to brainstorm anytime, I think he's welcome. Just he can pick up the phone. Maybe if I'm free at that time, I'm more than willing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Abhijit. Hats off to you, because I've gained immense knowledge during this entire talk, and I'm certain all our viewers would inspire definitely.
Yeah, so the feeling is mutual. I think whenever I would speak of the word SWOT, I would think of small, and that threats and limitations is something which is imbibed now in me forever. So there's something which you learn, what you say becomes a transformational thought for you. So it just needs one small trigger. So I think that's a good age. So SWOT is something I will always.
My privilege. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Wow. Now, wasn't that a power-packed podcast episode? Yes. Now, I had a lot of fun, and I'm totally inspired by what Abhijit had to teach all of us in his own way. This brings us to the end of podcast 2. And in the comment section below and in the description, we will also post Abhijit's contact details, wherein you can get in touch with him for whatever you want to discuss further with him. Now, if you've come to this level of the entire season, the entire series of podcast, I'm sure you're highly inspired and you're out there to inspire others as well. I encourage all of you to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that you do not miss on any further such episodes and updates. Thank you. Until then, be inspired, keep inspiring.
Thank you.